Welcome to Around the Felt. We got a special episode for you all tonight, the annual fantasy football special with all your drafts coming up. We got the same trios we did last year. I'm Colin, Reagan, and Big G is in the house. How we doing, Loescher brothers?
We're doing good.
I'm doing great, man.
It's always good to see the graphic man behind the camera.
Yeah,
My
dude,
annual time to shine.
We need to get that pretty face on camera more. So fantasy football, right up Big G's wheelhouse. So tonight, we're going to go through the redraft board using ESPN rankings. We're going to go through quarterback, running back, receiver, and tight end. And each one of us are going to give you our guy, our do not draft, a value pick, and then a sleeper down the board to help you win your fantasy football leagues this year. And we got a lot of rings on this panel, so hopefully we give you guys some good advice. So we'll start it off with the quarterbacks, and we'll kick it to Big G. Who is your guy for the 2025 season?
My guy is no other than Bo Nix. Coming in at quarterback 9. He was actually my sleeper last year. I love the way he played down the stretch last year. Final 10 games of the season, 21.5 points per game. He finished the year 3,700 yards, 29 touchdowns, which is pretty crazy as a rookie. And we've seen the sophomore slump happen with CJ Stroud, and we'll see what happens this year with him. But 29 touchdowns as your floor in the NFL is pretty crazy. If you can get those up by a couple and keep those yards where they're at, I don't see why this guy can't finish as a top 10 quarterback this year. He also has more mobile ability than he showed last year. He ran for 430 yards. I think we could see that get north of 500 possibly. And with a number one potential defense, you'll see him put in better situations this year overall.
I love it. We just harped on Bo Nix in our Denver Broncos episode, and really we're pumped up about Bo Nix here and what he can do in year 2 under Sean Payton. I like that call out of you,
Yeah.
BG.
And plus, they've added so many weapons. I mean, getting R.J. Harvey in there in the draft, J.K. Dobbins in free agency, Evan Ingram in free agency. They're making a conscious effort to build up this offense more. So I'm all for that. That also segues into mine, who is another quarterback from that draft class. I'm going with Caleb Williams. He's currently, and also we should have preferenced it before, all of these numbers and rankings of where they're going for ADP. That's all from ESPN. We took it from.
I did say that.
You did.
Yeah. So I appreciate you listening to me, but
yeah, no problem. But yes. So I went with Caleb Williams as my guy. I think he's going to have a big season this year. Last year it was up and down a lot, but for fantasy football, there was a lot of ups, especially down the stretch. I mean, the guy did finish as a top 12 quarterback 5 times. So you love to see that. There's also a couple games I remember where at halftime it was like, damn, I started Caleb Williams. This dude has 30 passing yards, and I'm staring at a 1 point on my fantasy team. All of a sudden he lights it up in the second half for 3 touchdowns, and it's like, oh wait, I just finished with a top 5 quarterback on this week. And he really didn't do a whole lot of rushing last year, where I think this guy could be pushing 500 yards, like Garrett said with Bo Nix. He didn't have any rushing touchdowns. So I think bringing in Ben Johnson, drafting Luther Burden, drafting Colston Loveland, they're trying to make a conscious effort to build up the offensive line as well. They did a ton of trades. I think this will open a lot more for them. And worst case, if this whole experience doesn't work out and they're trailing a lot of games, that's all right, because at the end of the day, it's fantasy football.
Great pick. I agree 100%. My guy is Joe Burrow. I think the offense speaks for itself. He's coming off a QB3 season. He was hurt in 23. The year before that, he was QB4. And when you have arguably the best wide receiver duo out wide, you got Chase Brown, who showed a lot as a rookie. And we talked about in our Bengals episode, Reagan, this defense doesn't look much better on paper. I see a lot more shootouts for the Bengals in 2025, and I think they're going to start off much hotter. I mean, their head coach said that they're going to get series in preseason games. They're going to get some run to hopefully start off on a faster note so they don't have to play catch up the entire season. But when I look at this defense and they're returning all their weapons, for me, Joe Burrow is a top 3 or 4 quarterback in NFL football, like real football. And I also think he's going to be top 5 in fantasy for this year.
Well, now this segues into my player I'm saying do not draft. Let me start it out with this. Do you think Joe Burrow can finish as the number 1 fantasy quarterback?
I don't think you finish number 1 because Lamar and Allen have the rushing, but I think he can finish number 3 like he did last year.
I'm staying away from him because right now he's going as a late 3rd round pick in fantasy football. And while I do think he can finish as a top 5 quarterback, I don't think he has the ceiling because of the lack of rushing ability to finish in that upper echelon. And when I'm at when I'm in my 3rd rounds in fantasy drafts, that, where he's going, that means you probably have, that you already have your 2 guys. So you probably got 12 and 13 or 11 and 14. So you're taking your 3rd player there. And do I really want to take Joe Burrow at that point? I don't know, because there's still a lot of good running backs on the board, a lot of good wide receivers. And if you go running back there, with your first 2 picks or wide receiver, can you really afford to take a premium quarterback that probably won't even finish as the number 1 quarterback? Yeah, it's a safe play, especially if he stays healthy. We know there's going to be a lot of shootouts. So the dud games won't be there. But for me, if I'm taking a quarterback early, it's only, Hurts, Allen, or Lamar because of the rushing upside. Same thing goes for Patrick Mahomes, but his ADP isn't nearly as crazy as it's been over the past couple of years. So that's why I'm staying away from Joe Burrow.
I don't know, dude. I was in MetLife when I saw Burrow crib one from 50 yards out. So.
That is true. That is true. That is true. That Giants defense there was definitely head scratching. It was just like, where is everybody? Burrow was running the 40-yard dash.
Burrow had 200 rushing yards last year, and 25% came on that one run. He had 2 touchdowns. I will say in 2022, he had 260 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. So I didn't realize that. But I get what you're saying. Like the rushing's not there, and you always want to target a rushing quarterback, but I mean, he just gives you such a high floor. Like, I'm just looking at his top 12 finishes, and it was like unbelievable. It was double digits, So I don't know. I think Joe Burrow still, like, even though he might not get you 40 points because he runs for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns like Lamar, he's still getting you 20 to 25 every week consistently. He could push for 30 when they go nuclear.
Yeah, all man. Right. I mean, we could go back and forth. We got a whole pod here, but
yeah. All right, let's kick it back to Big G. Who's your do not draft?
Yeah, I'm gonna change the course a little bit. I know we're talking about rushing upside and whatnot, how it's great for fantasy, but my do not draft is Justin Fields. The ADP is QB 11, so he's going a lot higher than quarterbacks with a much better passing game than he's ever shown. Obviously, he's going to bring the rushing upside. He was quarterback 7 in the games he played last year, averaging 38.5 rushing yards. And in prior years, when he was the starter for the full season, he was finishing top 10 every year. But I just don't see him progressing that much as a passer this year. And I can't rely on just a quarterback that you're hoping gets a couple rushing touchdowns here and there. And besides Garrett Wilson, do we really love this offense? Like, coming from a Jets fan,
I like Breece Hall a lot, but
I do as well.
It's gonna be a lot of checkdowns. It's gonna be a lot of checkdowns to Breece, and like outside of Garrett Wilson, you're right. Like, who's their wide receiver 2 right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the passing upside really matters with him. Like, at the end of the day, he's might end up being the number 1 rushing. If he plays all 17 and stays healthy, he may lead all quarterbacks in rushing yards. So I think he's kind of dud proof in that sense, where all he needs is to have 80 rushing yards in a game, and if he only throws for 150 passing yards, it'll even out. Especially because I would imagine the Jets were one of the teams that were pro tush push, so I'd imagine they're going to be using that, so he might get some cheap rushing touchdowns this year as well. So I'm definitely taking him, but I understand what you're saying, that there's other guys you like more that you don't have to worry about cracking the 150 yard mark every game, because that's definitely a worry there.
Yeah, it's just hard to trust him on a weekly basis, like, especially with where he's getting drafted. That was my main thing.
Yeah, and if teams take away his legs, you're fucked.
And it's also like he had all that rushing last year, and he still got benched for Russell Wilson. Like, if he's not progressing as a passer, what's stopping Aaron Glenn from bringing in Tyrod if the season starts to spiral, Just because he's running a lot, like, at the end of the day, to win real football games, you need to pass, and you need to keep your job to pass.
100%.
My do not draft is Kyler Murray. Pretty easy for me here. They have the most difficult schedule projected from week 11 on, from preseason Vegas win totals. And what do we know about Kyler Murray? When Call of Duty comes out, his play falls off a cliff. Even in seasons where he's been fully healthy, over the long stretch of the season, the entire way, he's finished top 10. But he's always battling nagging injuries towards the end of the year, and he starts off really hot and then starts to come back down. Last year, 9 touchdowns to 8 picks from week 10 on. So what I'm thinking about is who's going to be that guy for me in the playoffs, not who's going to get me into the playoffs. So if I'm going semifinals championship and Kyler Murray's got a really tough opponent and the Cardinals are struggling, I don't have faith in Kyler Murray to put up a big week for me to get the job done, given his history in the league. So I'm staying away from Kyler Murray because I'm trying to win rings, not just make it to the dance.
Yeah, it's staying away from the Call of Duty downfall.
Yeah, you got to do it. You got to do it. All right, value pick. Big G, who do you got?
You guys might not love this one, but I got Trevor Lawrence. He was my guy last year. He was pretty terrible last year, for being honest. But this is a whole new year for him. He's still 25 years old. He's young. He's got a lot of room to improve. I love Liam Cohen coming in. As well as Liam Cohen, you're bringing in Travis Hunter, the Heisman winner.
Mm-hmm.
I think he brings he's going to bring a lot of touchdowns to this offense. I don't know how much PPR he adds, but I think touchdown-wise, he's going to be a freak. Brian Thomas Jr. could be the top wide receiver in the league. I just think with that new coordinator coming in, fresh faces everywhere around the building, I think we could see a big year from Trevor Lawrence. And you're getting him at quarterback 21 right now, so I think he could be like a good spot starter in a lot of spots. And if he does start to blow up, why not just ride him out for the season?
I love that call. Liam Cohen's a dog. I mean, Baker last year cooked with Cohen at the helm. You had Travis Hunter, and last year with Doug Peterson, that was almost a wash. Everyone just gave up on him. So I think that's a really good call at QB 21.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with similar sentiment. I'm going AFC South quarterback, but I'm going with CJ Stroud. Same thing. They've made a conscious effort in the offseason to, bring in a lot of new weapons for him. They obviously drafted 2 receivers out of Iowa State. They bring in Christian Kirk. They get Nick Chubb, draft Woody Marks as well. So I think they're making a huge effort. I mean, I didn't love that they traded away Tunsil. That doesn't excite me. Obviously, losing one of the best tackles in football. But I think with all those weapons and where he's going, it's great value. I mean, he's never going to be a top 5 quarterback because he doesn't have the rushing upside. But could he end up as a top 12 quarterback, top 8 quarterback? Sure. I mean, we saw what he did his rookie year. So I think I'm expecting a big year 3 bounce back.
It's a good call. I went with Caleb Williams as my value at QB 11. You went with your guy, Reagan. He's my value at 11. Stats. I mean, let's be honest here. Ben Johnson at the helm. You add Joe Thuney, one of the best offensive linemen in the league. You add 2 more really good interior linemen. He got sacked a shit ton last year. He was running for his life. Now, a lot of that was him holding the ball. But if everyone pans out on this offense, this might be the most dangerous offensive weapon core in the league. You got DJ Moore, Luther Burden, Rome Odunze, who I'm really high on. I know you are too, Reagan, for this year. Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet. And then you got DeAndre Swift. And I like Kyle Monangai as RB2 as well. And then Roschon Johnson. With Ben Johnson calling the plays, there's way too much talent for this to be a bad offense. And Caleb Williams was, I don't want to use the term generational, but he was considered up there with those generational quarterbacks as a prospect. He got picked first for a reason. So I think it's if Caleb Williams doesn't do well this year, holy shit. The Bears are really a cursed team. He's got to throw for 4,000 this year. Someone's got to do it in Chicago. I'm banking Caleb's going to do it this year.
I love it, man. I'm glad me and you are both on the Chicago train. Caleb Williams, let's show why you were the number 1 overall pick. Come on now.
Let's do it.
Come on now.
Let's absolutely do it. Sleeper pick, Garrett, to round out our quarterbacks.
I'm going to keep it in the same division, same draft class. JJ McCarthy, QB 19. So not too deep of a sleeper, but we haven't seen what he's done. We only saw him in a little bit of the preseason last year. But I just trust this offense a lot. Sam Darnold was QB 9 last year and put up the craziest season he's ever had. I think this team's going to set him up well for success. I don't know. They're trying to pass the ball a lot this year. We'll see how he does early on, especially with Addison not being there for the first 3 games. He might have a slow start, but I do trust him. I liked him coming out. I think he could be a fantasy starter one day, and hopefully this season. This is more of a dynasty play for me. I like stashing JJ McCarthy, but we'll see how he does. I'm excited for him this year.
Yeah, I mean, the rushing upside's definitely there. All right. You know who my sleeper is going to be. You guys want to take a guess from me?
It's definitely Bryce Young.
It is Bryce Young. I
It's
mean,
your guy.
listen, man. He turned it on in the second half of the year last year. Let me just tell you how he finished down the stretch. In his last 6 games, he finished as a top 3 quarterback in 3 of the games. So 3 out of the 6, he was a top 12 quarterback. So, Dave Canales really unlocked something in him. Obviously, they go and draft Tet in the draft. Love that. They bring in Rico Dowdle, who just had over 1,000 rushing yards with the Cowboys to, pair with Chuba Hubbards because unfortunately Jonathan Brooks won't be ready. Adam Thielen's still there. Xavier Legette, their first-round pick from the year before, is still there. So I'm just really excited. I think he's a value. And at the end of the day, he's going so late in drafts that it's like, take a shot on him with your last pick. If you don't take one of those top tier cream of the crop quarterbacks and you go with one of those I don't know, 7 through 12 range guys, why not throw him on the bench, see if he can continue on with that success? I mean, we saw some rushing ability from him as well. And that was something that I didn't know he had in him, but at the end of the day last year, he had 6 rushing touchdowns. So that's great. If he can get closer to 10, and really show that rushing ability more, then sky's the limit. And we've seen what Dave Canales did for Geno Smith, and we saw what Dave Canales did for Baker Mayfield. So let's see what he continued to do for Bryce Young.
I like it. And you didn't think about Bryce Young rushing because he didn't do it a ton at Bama. But yeah, he did scamper in there from the red zone last year.
Yeah, 6 rushing touchdowns. So
it's really good. My guy's Justin Herbert, man. New weapons, Trey Harris, Amarian Hampton should elevate this offense. You added Mekhi Becton on that already dominant offensive line in front of him. And then, of course, bringing back Keenan Allen, who was his guy when he came into the league. Herbert only had 3 interceptions last year. He had the best rushing season of his career under Harbaugh. Harbaugh knows this team goes where he takes them. And people forget Herbert came out guns a-blazing as a rookie QB9. His second year, he was QB2. And then he was 11. Then he was 13. No, then he was 17, but he only played 13 games. And then that's when, Keenan Allen was getting hurt. Mike Williams was getting hurt. He didn't have his weapons. And last year, QB12 with not a lot of help around him. His number 1 wideout was a rookie in Lad McConkey. So with all these young players around him, I think Herbert's going to elevate. And I think he'll be a top 8 quarterback, potentially top 6. And at QB12, if that's my QB1 and I'm loading up on receivers and running backs, I really like where my team's going to be at.
Yeah, and that's more the approach I like to take. I don't like taking the quarterback early. I like stocking up on the wide receivers and running backs. So, I think he has a chance to be the MVP of the league this year. They just brought in Keenan Allen as well. So, they keep bolstering his weapons on the outside. You would have liked it a little bit more if he had a solid tight end, but that's all right. Between Disley and Conklin, I mean, those are 2 options that can rotate in and out. But I'm really excited for Justin Herbert this year as well.
Love it. Let's pivot to the running backs now. Big G, who is your guy?
Yeah, it segues perfectly because I want to highlight a guy that I'm trying to stamp my name with. Amarian Hampton.
Yeah.
3rd round running back. You already talked about him a little bit, but he's coming into the Greg Roman offense, which we've seen before be super running back friendly. I found a stat that in 11 years of coaching offenses, he's never had a running back or a team finish fewer than 11th team-wise in rushing attempts.
Wow.
So he likes to feed his running backs a lot. Hampton's a guy who we saw carry a massive load in college. Pause. But a massive workload. And the reason I love him so much is because this is one of my favorite O-lines in football. I think they built a powerhouse over there, and I think they're going to be able to run the shit out of the football. And why not draft a first-round quality running back and in round 3 with running back maybe top 10 upside?
Yeah. I mean, it just really comes down to how involved is Najee, in my opinion. But
he doesn't scare me too much, but I think early on, you're right. He'll be definitely involved a lot.
I mean, the good thing is long-term, he's on a 1-year deal, so it doesn't really matter after this season. So my guy is Chase Brown. I think you're getting him at an incredible value as well. He could have been my guy for the value pick. So he's going as the RB11. ADP is 35.6, so back end of round 3, beginning of round 4. But when he took over the full workload, getting the 80% or higher, which he had from week 9 on, which is incredible to get that type of workload, which I think will continue because he was kind of splitting with Zach Moss. Zach Moss has since been cut, got released a couple weeks ago. He finished as a top 5 running back 4 of the 8 weeks and a top 13 running back 7 out of the 8 weeks. So once he started getting over 80%, he was a beast. He even had 2 weeks as a top 12 running back in week 4 and week 5, where he had 40% of snaps and 33% of snaps and still finished as a top 12 running back. So, the fact that this guy played in 16 games last year and over half of them, he finished as a top 12 running back, really excites me. He's involved as a pass catcher. He's involved as a runner. I'm not going to sit here and say he's super efficient as a runner, but he's a pure volume guy. So if you can give me a guy that's getting 80% of touches in the late third, early fourth, I love it. And I really love it too. If you go wide receiver, or if you do ultimately decide to reach on, not reach, but, go up early and get McBride or Bowers, or even go the Lamar, Josh Allen, or Joe Burrow route, why not pair him with Chase Brown, man? That is an RB1 that you can get, at a great value.
Yeah, he's very similar to Kyren Williams in my mind. Volume just wins. If you're going to get over 80% of the snap share in those offenses, you're going to be productive.
The only reason I went with Brown is just that he's a better pass catcher between him and Kyren.
Yes, he is the better pass catcher for sure. My guy, I'm sticking a similar wave as Big G over here. I'm going TreVeyon Henderson, running back for the Patriots, RB25. This offense should be much better this year with better coaching overall. Vrabel at the helm. Stephon Diggs out wide. But for Drake May in year 2, he already took his lumps, right? They got Will Campbell at left tackle, should be a better offensive line. But for me, I was in love with Henderson as a prospect, and I love the landing spot. He's an elite receiving threat from the backfield. He's fast as shit. He's got home run speed. He's going absolutely nuclear in camp right now. Like, everything I'm seeing out of New England is all this guy does is score, and no one can cover him. He's also the best pass blocking back of the entire class. And that means he's going to be on the field for third downs no matter what. And his competition is Ramondre Stevenson, who's got fumbleitis. So and he's already been in the doghouse in New England before. I know new staff now, but there's no way they take this guy in the second round. And Stevenson's going to get more snap share than him. I think TreVeyon Henderson is a league winner at RB25.
Yeah, that's RB25 is crazy. And the amount of screens he housed last year at Ohio State kind of just shows you that he's going to be used a lot in the receiving game.
Absolutely, man. PPR, especially in full point PPR leagues. Oh, he's a smash pick for me at that range. All right, the do not draft list now. What do we got?
My do not draft is a 30-year-old running back, Alvin Kamara. He's still going at running back 15. I mean, early on last year, he's really good, but that was also when the Saints offense was actually doing good for the year. I think this is basically a completely different team. New coach, new quarterback. The O-line is not great. You guys have highlighted them before.
Yeah.
I think they're kind of going to run him into the dirt a little early. I think they're going to lean on him a lot because they have young quarterbacks. And I think they're going to use him a little too much early in the year. And I don't know if he's going to sustain like a full season. And he was 32nd in missed tackles forced last year and 36th in yards after contact. So he's kind of lost his step a little bit. Obviously, he's still a great pass catcher, but I wouldn't want him as my running back. Definitely not one, but wouldn't even take him as my running back too. Like if he's in your flex, I don't hate it, but I'm just personally not going to be drafting him this year.
And how many touchdowns is that offense going to score this year? They might be like the worst offense in football with their quarterback situation.
Yeah, probably them or the Giants, I would guess. No.
That's going to be. I mean, come on, what the hell?
No, I'm kidding. Don't talk about my Saints like that, bro. It's hard. Just based
Derek Carr ain't there anymore, man. You should be off the Saints bandwagon.
Yeah. No, I don't even know either because it's all young guys. Like, are they going to be check down Charlies? I feel like a lot of rookie quarterbacks try to do too much, and it's like, Carr was just like dumping it off to Kamara so much, doing the veteran plays. Will that still be there? I don't know. Because that's always been his bread and butter. It hasn't been as a runner. It's always been as a pass catcher. So my do not draft is Kenneth Walker. He's going as a RB14. He's going in the mid-4th round. I'm staying away from him completely. While I do think he can be good for fantasy, I want no part of it. I don't think this is going to be a great offense. I'm not bought in on Sam Darnold. I really don't like this offensive line. Walker averaged 3.7 yards a carry last year. Charbonnet averaged 4.2. 14 would be insane. Charbonnet averaged 4.2. So Charbonnet was the more efficient back. Granted, it was a weird, split. When Charbonnet was in and Walker was hurt and missed some time, Charbonnet got the full workload where Walker, got about 65 to 70% of the snaps when it was both of them. But I do think Charbonnet showed enough to me and the coaches that he will have a bigger role. So if I'm drafting a guy in the late fourth, I'd like him to have more of the split where I think it'll be more of a 50-50 timeshare because both guys show they can be very efficient when they're the lead guy. And do I really want that in an offense that I don't project to be great, especially when they haven't fixed a lot of the offensive line things? And we've talked about it so many times with the stat that they were both, near the top and missed tackles because they were getting hit in the backfield so often.
Yeah.
So, and I don't project them to be scoring a lot of points. I project them to be trailing a lot. So I want none of it. And I would say Charbonnet is the better pass catcher out of the two.
Yeah, if you haven't done so, check out our Seahawks episode. We highlighted how bad this offensive line is going to be for this year and how we're not super high on Darnold. And Reagan has him going 4-13, so he's all out on the Seahawks.
Yeah, I am completely out on them.
Mine is Jonathan Taylor at RB8. Now, I want to preface this with I really like Jonathan Taylor as a player. There's just a ton of risk at taking him that early on. Since his RB1 finish in 2021, where he led the league in rushing, he was been RB33 in 11 games, RB33 in 10 games, and then RB12 in 14 games in full point PPR. So at RB8, I'm already buying above the past 3 years worth of production. Add in their offensive line is very questionable outside of Quentin Nelson. And they lost Will Fries, former Cranford Cougar. So the O-line's a big question mark. And the quarterback, we don't even know who's starting, Jones or Richardson. And either one of them aren't particularly guys that are to elevate this offense and make it dynamic. Now, I know it might mean, they're going to feed Jonathan Taylor a shit ton early, but why would I expect him to be healthy for a full season then? You know what I mean? If he's getting that big of a workload because the quarterbacks aren't there early, all he's shown me the past 3 years, he's got injury problems. So I think RB8's a little rich for me. But if he starts to slide and you really need a running back, I wouldn't hate it. But I don't know. I wouldn't be comfortable with him as my RB1, and that's where you draft him to be at that range.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, it's a lot of uncertainty. I will say that. So,
but I really like him as a player when he is out there, So it's tough, but that's just. Really
I like him more if Daniel Jones is a quarterback.
Yeah, probably because Richardson. I mean, he's got to complete half his passes first for this offense to really get cooking, right?
Well, not even that. It's just draw up so many run plays in the red zone for Richardson, where I don't think they'll have those same plays drawn up.
That is true.
Daniel Jones.
That is true. That is a good point. All right, the value pick for the running backs.
My value pick is Chuba Hubbard, running back 18. I love drafting this guy this year. I mean, running back 18 is really good value. He was averaging 16 points a game last year, 1,200 total yards, 10 touchdowns, which isn't bad, honestly, for a running back who was in a shitty offense last year. He was 14th in red zone touches, but I could see him creeping into the top 10 because I think this team will get a lot more red zone opportunities than they did last year. I mean, Dave Canales as a coach has only been improving. I just overall think with Bryce Young having more of a breakout year will ultimately benefit him the most. And bringing in a wide receiver 1, which they honestly didn't even have last year, and they could just stack the box against him.
It's a good call. Not a lot of people think of Chuba Hubbard. It's not the sexiest name, It's Chuba Hubbard doesn't look super sexy in my lineup, but he's going to be the workhorse there, and it should be a much improved offense, as Reagan mentioned with this Bryce Young call.
Yeah, and Jonathan Brooks is, I believe, missing the whole season. So
yeah, they already said he's out for the year. Yeah,
they brought in Rico Daddle. I mean, he did go over 1,000 in Dallas, but
because someone had to get the ball in Dallas.
Yeah, but they gave him 1 year, $3 million. So that tells you how, where they gave Chuba the big extension for over $10 million a year. So, he's going to be the workhorse. So my value pick here is, I think it's a phenomenal value. It's Tony Pollard. He's going as an RB27 right now in the early 9th. Last year he had over 250 carries. So love that. Averaged 4.2 a carry. I mean, only 5 touchdowns, but he did get over the 1,000-yard mark. I mean, he pretty much had the whole, snaps. Like, he got most of them. So Tajay Spears didn't have a big role. I mean, he was pretty much over 60% plus in every game, and there were games where he was over 80. For those of you who are worried about Cam Ward, I wouldn't worry too much because I can't think this offense will get much worse than it was last year. I think if anything, it'll be better. So I'm excited for what he can do. And I think at the end of the day, to get a guy that gets over 250 carries in a season that late in your drafts is a phenomenal value. Phenomenal. It's just a safe play. He's not gonna finish as an RB12, but if he finishes as a top 24 running back like he did last year and gets that volume, like, it's nice to have guys late that you can plug in, especially if you go, wide receivers, a lot of wide receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks early, and you're like, crap, I need a second RB or I need a third RB. At that point, that's a great value.
It's a good call. I like it a lot. There's no way that Tennessee offense can be worse. It just can't be. So I like that call. I hope you guys like this call. My value pick is Breece Hall at RB17 from your New York Jets.
Let's go.
Garrett, I know you got him in our Dynasty League, so should be pumped with that. Look, as you mentioned, Garrett, Fields will struggle to throw the ball downfield because he hasn't shown anything in his NFL career to tell me otherwise. And the other weapons around him outside of Garrett Wilson are pretty garbage. Let's be honest. And when you have Fields with his rushing threat to pull the ball, that's going to make some defensive ends be hesitant to crash down on Breece Hall. So I think he'll have some more running lanes this year. And also, with Fields struggling to throw the ball downfield, I think Breece Hall will get a ton of checkdowns. And people forget, in 2023, he was the best, if not right there with Christian McCaffrey, receiving back in football when he finished RB2 just 2 seasons ago. So I think we're going to see a very similar script to 2023. And I think at RB17, Breece Hall, in my opinion, will definitely finish top 10.
I love it. As a Jet fan, I love it. Give Breece.
I really hope they lean on his receiving upside because he could be second or third in targets and catches for us because there's no real wide receiver too. You got to hope that the new offensive coordinator works him. He might even see some looks in the slot this year and put Braylon Allen in the backfield.
I would love to see the Jets use him like the Dolphins use Etienne.
He's also on a contract year, so this is really like a big year for him. So
yeah, so a little extra chip on the shoulder, baby. Come on, fire me up with Breece. All right, a sleeper pick to round us out with the running backs.
My sleeper is Jordan Mason. He's on the Vikings this season.
He's traded good in camp.
He traded over from the Niners. You can draft him as the running back 35 right now. I like his frame. He's a 220 plus pound back. I think he could become the goal line back for them. Obviously, Aaron Jones is still there again. He got re-signed. But I think they might try to keep him healthy because this is a team that has playoff goals. They might not overuse Jones too much. They obviously traded for him for a reason. They want another guy in that backfield. I think he's the perfect handcuff, and I also think for Dynasty he's a guy to look at because we don't know how much longer Aaron Jones has, and I don't see why he can't take over this backfield next year if Jones doesn't have a great year this season.
Jones also has chronic hamstring problems, so if you're RB1 in that Vikings offense, there's going to be a lot of scoring opportunities. Assuming Jason McCarthy doesn't suck.
Let's not forget, he was kind of a beast for the Niners last year. I mean, they gave him a massive workload. He averaged 21 carries when he was the main back, but he was getting 110 total yards on this.
I like it.
Yeah, so my sleeper is Ray Davis of the Buffalo Bills.
Woo!
You can currently get him super late in drafts, or he may go undrafted. He is the backup in Buffalo, had over 110 carries last year. They like this kid at Kentucky. They spent a 4th-round pick on him, and with all the uncertainty with James Cook's contract this year, if that leaks into it, or whatever, if he demands a trade, you don't know what's going to happen. But James Cook had 16 rushing touchdowns last year for over 1,000 yards. Wasn't super efficient with it. Some big games here and there, but he was still only like 100 more carries than him. So I think they'll continue to work Davis in more and turn it more into a timeshare. And Davis is the bigger back. So I'm just projecting the fact that the Bills want to run the ball first. They really didn't bring in a whole lot of weapons to prove that they want to put the ball in Josh Allen's shoulders and make him throw the ball 50 times. They kind of showed we want to be this run first team. So if he can push up to 150, 175, get some more touchdowns. I think it's a great, flex play. And if James Cook is to miss any time with injury, I think this guy will slot right in as the workhorse. So I'm kind of, it's nitty gritty, but I like it a lot.
That's a deep sleeper.
With the Bills playing like late in the season in those cold weather games, they're going to run the ball a shit ton. That's when we saw him kind of break out last year.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Towards the end of the season, like he's going to get a lot of touches.
Yeah, so I like it as like a flex, highest upside flex unless James Cook is to miss time.
I like it.
That.
My sleeper, Travis Etienne. ESPN has him as RB 37. I find it hard to believe he's going 37th among running backs, but I still don't care. This is a sleeper for me. As we mentioned with Trevor Lawrence, I think last season with Doug Peterson, it was just a total wash. And I'm going back to the well with getting back to that 2023 form where Breece was RB2 and Etienne was RB3. And with Liam Cohen coming in, we saw what he did with that Bucs offense last year when Bucky Irving really took over. I know they took Bashaw Tootin, but Tootin, day 3 pick. Tank Bigsby, different skill set from Etienne. He's more that power back. Etienne's the receiving back, but he's also a day 3 pick. Etienne was a first-round pick for a reason. He's got the pedigree. He's got the explosiveness. Of the 3 backs, he fits more of the Bucky mold than anyone else. And word out of camp right now is it's only Etienne and Tank Bigsby that are getting first-team reps. Tootin's not even in the picture. So for me, that late, with what should be a revitalized Jaguars offense, if Etienne's my RB4, I mean, that could be a home run where at the trade deadline, you can move it back and upgrade elsewhere. And I'd feel comfortable with Etienne at flex. I just think RB37 is disrespectful given what we saw from him just 2 seasons ago in an actual functioning offense.
Yeah, that is interesting that he's going that late. I feel like you said, it's not a guarantee he's not the workhorse again. So I feel like it's pretty weird to go that late. It's definitely a value.
He's got juice. He's got 4.4 speed. Like he fits the Bucky Irving here. He's going to be the receiving back here. He might lose some goal line touches to Bigsby for sure. But with PPR, man, like Etienne's going to fit that role for this offense. If you got Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter out wide, like you can't stack the box on these backs.
Yeah, I think people are just worried because they haven't come out and straight up say like he's going to be RB1 because Tank's going at a similar draft spot. So
same range, yeah. But I'm taking Etienne over Tank all day. All right.
You want to switch over to the receivers?
Let's go to the wide receivers. So many options. Who's your guy, Big G?
A ton of options, but I'm going to pair my guy with my quarterback favorite this year. I'm going to take his wide receiver 1, Courtland Sutton. This could also be a value play because right now he's going in the 5th round. Getting a wide receiver 1 on a team in the 5th round is always a good thing to do. Last year, on an average points per game basis, he was 18, which was wide receiver 7. Wide receiver 9 in targets. He was averaging 9 a game, and we could easily see that go up because there's no true other wide receiver that they brought in. Marvin Mims, I think, is a guy who's going to take a big step in this offense. And Ingram will get his touches, but they just extended Sutton. I don't really see him taking a step back. And I found another stat that was wide receivers who average that many targets a game all finished top 12. So a guy that's getting that many looks with a good quarterback in my eyes should finish pretty high in fantasy.
I love it. I just got Courtland Sutton in the league, so very, very on board with that.
And that goes hand in hand with your Bo Nix pick. You're big Bronco guy.
That's a good stack I like right there.
Broncos country, let's ride.
So my pick is Marvin Harrison Jr. with the Arizona Cardinals. He's going as a wide receiver 19, currently going early in the 5th round in most leagues on ESPN. I'm really buying into the fact that he's going to have a better year this year. They're going to scheme up a lot more plays for him. I remember, Colin, you highlighted, on the Cardinals breakdown when we did that they didn't even have any plays drawn up for him. He had no catches behind the line of scrimmage. So I think they're going to do a better effort of just scheming up him plays. I think teams are also going to adjust and be like, hey, Trey McBride is the horse in this offense that they want to throw the ball to. So they're going to try to take it out of his hands more. But I just think, a big offseason where now people are writing him off. It's not all like this guy's next up and, projecting him to be the next best thing. Now he's got the spotlight off of him a little bit where he can come in and, really improve. So I'm buying into Marv, and hopefully Kyler doesn't falter at the end and hurt his production as well. But give me Marv for a big breakout, and I think he could be pushing as finishing as a top 12 wide receiver when it's all said and done.
That's an awesome call. I've been getting shares of Marvin in a ton of best ball leagues too, as well. Like I haven't done a redraft yet, but like in my best balls, which are redrafts, like I love Marv at that spot because he's also like, last year he was generational, right? Like that's not gone now. You know what I mean? So I agree. They'll do a better job getting them the ball. My guy's Malik Nabers at wide receiver 6. And you're like, oh, wide receiver 6, your guy. Oh, you know what? I don't care. Malik Nabers, if he's fully healthy this season, will finish top 3. The dude had a 37% target share, 170 targets in 15 games. And he only had 7 touchdowns. And that was with Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Tim Boyle, and Tommy DeVito. Russell Wilson is a upgrade over that. No one could throw the ball downfield to Nabers last year. You remember when he toasted the DB on the night game at MetLife Stadium, and then Jones threw him the ball, and he was sitting there waiting for it against Dallas, and they tackled him after 40 yards? That's a touchdown with Russell Wilson. He didn't have the deep balls. He was just ultra-targeted, and he's elite after the catch. We talk about volume with running backs. I mean, what's stopping the Giants from giving this guy nearly 200 targets this year if he plays a full 17 slate? He's the engine of the offense, and everything coming out of camp is, holy shit, this guy's the next Jamar Chase right now. Like, unguardable, unbelievable. So, for me, Malik Nabers at wide receiver 6, like, that's my first pick at the end of the first round. I'm licking my chops. I'm like, let's go. Like, this is exactly what I needed.
Now, my question to you is, you say you think he can finish as a top 3 wide receiver, so you have him finishing over who? You think only Chase and Jettis does better than him?
I think Chase most likely will do better than him, but he still does have T. Higgins, who missed a big chunk.
Oh, so you think he could do better than Chase?
It wouldn't shock me if he did. He wouldn't shock me if he did better than Jefferson with McCarthy.
Now, do you think he may end as a wide receiver 1?
Look, I think he's in the mix for top 3. Absolutely. I think there's.
I'm asking 1 though. Do you think there's a chance he can finish as 1?
I do think there's a chance he finishes 1. Yes, I do. I mean, at the end of the day, he doesn't have another alpha next to him, right? Like, there's not as many mouths to feed in this offense that there are in Minnesota, that there are in
all Cincinnati. He's got next to him is a consistent wide receiver in Darius Slayton.
Yeah, he's consistent to give him 500 to 700 yards, like that's what he's going to do. He's a leader in the room. He's consistent. But, like, he's not an alpha. He's not a number 1. This guy's an alpha number 1. And we see these receivers break out. Jefferson, 1,800. Chase had his 1,700. CD had his 1,800. It would not shock me if Malik Nabers has 1,800 receiving yards this year.
All right, the LSU mold.
He's got the mold, man. Do not draft. Stay away. What wide receiver?
Yeah, the guy I landed on was Odunze. Yeah, I landed on him because this offense it's just too loaded. There's a lot of mouths to feed. This regime didn't draft him, and they took Luther Burden in the second round this year. I just think unless they're doing a bunch of 3 wide receiver sets, which I don't know if they will because they have 2 great tight ends. They're going to probably like to run the ball a lot with Ben Johnson coming over. I just don't know if you're going to get a lot of value out of them this year. Like, I like DJ Moore a lot. I think he'd be the one guy I'd really feel confident in taking. I just think there's honestly just comes at too many mouths to feed. I don't have a bunch of stats to back this one up.
I like it.
Yeah, you're not a big fan of him? I don't know.
A fan of him.
Yeah, man, I kind of am. I don't think I can. I don't know. I don't know if I'm fully getting behind that, but I get it. There are a lot of mouths to feed. I get it. So my do not draft is Jerry Jeudy, and it has nothing to do with the talent of Jerry Jeudy. He's going as a wide receiver 27 right now. It's just me knowing that he's going to ball out early with Joe Flacco, but don't buy into it because, we saw that with Jameis Winston last year. He was a beast, but then with Deshaun and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, he was irrelevant. So I'm not buying into it. I still don't think this is going to be a great team or a great offense. He needs a gunslinger to keep him relevant. So when they do ultimately make the switch to one of the rookies or Kenny Pickett, I think he's going to be virtually unplayable. So that's why I'm staying away from him here. And honestly, I'm staying away from all Browns pass catchers. I mean, Njoku, fine, because the tight end landscape's so hit or miss anyway. But, like, I really don't want anything to do with the running backs because that's all murky right now. And then the wide receivers, it's like, I don't know. So it's more of a team thing than it is a Jeudy thing, but no, thank you.
I am totally on board with that. My do not draft, and this one hurts because I mentioned Herbert earlier in this offense and how Herbert's going to be a dog, but it's McConkey at wide receiver 11. That's just really, really high when you consider the 4 new faces added to this offense: Trey Harris, Keenan Allen, Amarian Hampton, Najee Harris. I love Herbert. I love the Chargers offense this year. McConkey will not finish as a wide receiver 1. Like, no shot. I think he finishes in that 20 to 24 range. Picking him in round 2, I think it's insanely risky. And it's not like I'm going to sit here and give you stats. There's no stat. Like, the stats last year is he was great. But what else did he have around him? Quentin Johnston, who can't catch the ball, who's also still there. Like, you know what I mean? So for me, there's a lot more mouths to feed. I don't think he's going to be ultra targeted as much. Like, Keenan Allen was Justin Herbert's best friend when he came into the league. I know he's washed up, but not super washed up. I mean, he did some big things with Caleb down the stretch last year. He had some monster games. So I think he'll be involved. And I don't think McConkey out of the slot is going to be able to put up a wide receiver 1 season.
Yeah, I am curious. Will his ADP go down now that with the Keenan signing? Like, it only just happened. So I'm curious by draft season to see more of a late second, early third. Yeah. I don't know if it'll have that big of an impact, but I definitely think it'll scare some people. I'm definitely staying away from him. Even before it, though, I wasn't fully in love with him.
Yeah, I did this before Keenan Allen signed. So that even makes me more confident in this pick. Value plays. What do we got?
My value play is Jakobi Meyers. You can get this guy in the 7th round. I think he brings a lot of PPR upside. I think he could be a flex option this year for most teams. I think a lot of defenses are going to have to focus on Brock Bowers a lot. And with them bringing Genty in, he's going to be a big threat. I think Jakobi Meyers could fall under the radar a little bit, have defenses sleeping on him a little bit. And he had a couple big games last year, even with terrible quarterback play. He was averaging 70-something yards a game, which is pretty good. And with Geno Smith coming over, I don't see why he can't do the same, if not better.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real outside threat in the wide receiver room to overtake his role, Like, yeah, Bauer's going to get his, Genty's going to get his, but that just means stack boxes and one-on-one opportunities for Meyers.
Yeah, I mean, this value pick I'm about to say has actually got me scratching my head. I don't know how this guy is going there, but give me Stephon Diggs, man. He's going as the wide receiver 38 right now, going about the 9th round. I mean, the value's insane here. They have no one else there on the depth chart that even comes close to his caliber. Hunter Henry was the big target last year, but everyone's hyping up Drake May like he's going to take the next step. And if that's true, it's going to be with Stephon Diggs. So if you can get a guy that late who is going to be consistent, have weeks where he can finish top 12. I mean, he's not going to finish as a top 12 guy, but just a very safe play. If I go into the season with him as my wide receiver 2, I feel very excited, even if he does miss a little bit of time early on where he's not fully recovered. But it sounds like everything's trending right, that he'll be good for week 1. But even if he is, I'm still not worried. Love the value, love the pick. And I think, there is a world where, he finishes as a top 15 receiver. And hey, guess what? You drafted him as wide receiver 38. So your value is being returned heavily. And I'm not a finance guy either, but I understand that's a value.
He also had some pretty big games in Houston last year with, with other guys, Nico Collins
more
and
mouths
Frank Bell
to
in the
feed.
picture. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, who's their wide receiver 2? Kendrick Bourne right now? Like, Drake May's
Matt
taking
Collins.
that step. It's good. I mean, and this is
Pop
redraft,
Douglas
not dynasty,
there,
so, yeah. And let's not forget Josh Allen elevated when he got Diggs. So maybe Drake May does the same.
I mean, yeah, he's going to be his guy. And I believe, I don't know the contract, but I think they gave him a multi-year deal. Like, they paid him to be the number 1 there. So we'll see it. And I think he's dating Cardi B, so that's got to help too. Right?
Well, yeah, he is dating Cardi B. So that's the next T Swift is Stephon Diggs and Cardi B. So we'll get a lot of that, lot of screen time if the Patriots have any primetime games. Mine is Rashee Rice at wide receiver 25. You're going to have to bite the bullet for probably the first 4 weeks. Fine. I'm not trying to win the first 4 weeks. I'm trying to win a goddamn championship. And I think Rashee Rice is a league winner at wide receiver 25. If you slot him in as your wide receiver 2 or a flex because you got him that late, your lineup is going to look a lot more dangerous. He's the clear number one target for Mahomes. He showed it in 23. He showed it last year before Mahomes took his knee out unintentionally. 7 for 103, 5 for 75 and a touchdown, 12 for 110 and a touchdown. Like, disgusting numbers. And we saw Kelsey take a big step back last year. He's another year older. I know Xavier Worthy was really good down the stretch last year, but he's used different ways, more as a gadget threat around the line of scrimmage. And Hollywood Brown, I'm not super concerned about. Rashee Rice is the dude here. The suspension won't be longer than 4 games. Addison just got 3. I think Rashee might get 3 as well. Buy the dip and feast, boys.
Oh, I'm ready to buy. I'm ready to feast. Let me feast. Let me feast with Rashee.
That's a finance term. Buy the dip, baby. Buy the dip. Sleeper to close out our wide receiver here. Who do you got, Big G?
I got Ricky Pearsall for the 49ers.
Okay.
He didn't get a bunch of playing time last year, obviously due to what happened. But once he did finally become a part of the offense, he was wide receiver 7 and 14 in those final 2 games. Him and Brock Purdy were basically cooking together. I think with IU coming off his injury, ACL tear, there's really just Juan Jennings is the other wide receiver there who's pretty good. But, I mean, this Kyle Shanahan drafted him in the first round. He clearly has a vision for the kid. And I think he could pick up right where he left off and really, after a full off season with the team, like coming in as a sleeper. I mean, if I had to put him in at my flex option for a couple weeks, I wouldn't hate that at all. I think this is one of the best offenses in the league, and why not take a first-round pick wide receiver on a high-powered offense?
You know why I like that, Big G? Is now Christian McCaffrey is back, which means the box is going to be absolutely loaded. You know where Ricky Pearsall thrives is beating man coverage. He's much better against man than zone. He'll have way more opportunities with CMC back in the picture compared to Garendo or Jordan Mason. So that's a good sleeper.
Yeah, so I am going to be going with the newly acquired Houston Texans wide receiver, Christian Kirk, going as a wide receiver 58.
Ooh.
Basically going
58.
undrafted in fantasy leagues right now. So the value is there as well. You know, low risk here, but I think high reward. I mean, just going back to when he started out in Jacksonville 3 years ago, he finished as the wide receiver 11. So he has top 12 ability in him. You know, the past 2 years, though, he's dealt with some injuries that has forced him to miss the seasons, only playing 12 in 2023 and 8 in 2024. So, you know, obviously that's not ideal. You don't love that. But then again, if he does get injured, you know, it's not the end of the world because you're not spending any capital, or you might be getting him undrafted. So I just think he's a deep sleeper there. And, you know, I think he'll fill into that slot role nice. And I think the wide receiver 2 job is wide open. Like, I understand they drafted the 2 wide receivers out of Iowa State, and I understand Nico Collins is there, but I think this is going to be a high-powered offense, and I think there's going to be a big role for him if he can stay healthy. And, you know, he's a PPR beast, so, you know, if he, you know, ends up with like 80 catches this year, I think you'll definitely be looking at like a flex play.
I like it. Mine is back to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, I guess we're pretty high in the Jags offense this year. Liam Cohen.
Sounds like
Travis Hunter, baby. Wide receiver 35. He's projected to play 80% of offensive snaps, is the word coming out of Jags camp. He's a starting wide receiver and a second string DB right now, which everything that I've heard from scouts and people within the business and the draft community is he should major on offense, minor on defense, and that's the vision the Jags have. And Liam Cohen is an offensive mind. He's going to want Travis Hunter playing more offense than defense. If Travis Hunter was drafted purely as a wide receiver at 2nd overall, which wouldn't have been outlandish given, you know, what the Jaguars need. They don't need pass rushers. They weren't going to take Abdul Carter. They wanted a wide receiver. If he was purely a wide receiver, would he not be going in the 2nd round right now? Marv was going like
probably
10 to
not.
10. Marv was going 10 to 15 last year.
Yeah, but Marv didn't have Brian Thomas there.
Okay, like,
but I understand the point.
But he had Trey McBride there.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, his value got tanked.
He'd be going way, maybe
yes.
even in the 3rd round for I'll bow down. Even if it was 3rd rounds, still with the talent, he'd be a smash play, and people are scared because he's going to play some defense. The only way this doesn't pan out at wide receiver 35 is if he gets hurt trying to tackle Derrick Henry. Like, That's what could fuck this for you. But he's an elite prospect. Like Jeremiah had him up there with Jamar Chase level of prospect coming out of college. Like he's that good. He's that explosive. He had over 1,200 yards last year. He can score from anywhere. He didn't have a single drop last year. He's got the best hands in the class. And yeah, he does have Brian Thomas opposite him. He will take a lot of targets, but we've seen Chase and Higgins thrive. Higgins at a points per game basis, he just gets hurt a decent amount. But on a points per game basis, he's over like 18 points, which is phenomenal for the value you're going to get, getting that little discount because he's not the wide receiver 1. At wide receiver 35, Travis Hunter as a flex play could be a league winner.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely worth the risk. I mean, he's going in the 8th round right now, so for the upside that's there, and it's not a guarantee that he's going to play a ton of time on defense. Like he may just ball out early, and they're like, "Yep, you're full-time wide receiver."
And that's what I'm thinking too. Is like if they were to take him off a side, they've already showed their hand. Like he's a starting receiver, second string DB.
Yeah.
So he will, if he does get hurt early on, and like, all right, let's tone back the snaps, he will be a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that wraps up receivers. Let's run through tight ends, gents. Who's your guy, G?
Do it.
My guy's going to be the same every year, Trey McBride. I love the guy. I'm fine with taking him where he's going. I'm taking late second, early third. I just think he's the clear focal point of that offense. He was a beast last year, and really what held him back were his touchdown numbers, but I think they're going to make an emphasis on trying to get him the ball more in the red zone. I don't see him slowing down at all. I have him as my tight end 1 for the year. And I don't think taking a tight end 1, like early third, is that big of a reach. So
no, it's not. I like it. If you smash McBride that early, it's all right. I'm not worried about tight end all season. Like, you can win a lot of championships with stud tight end.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Evan Ingram, the newly acquired Broncos tight end, currently being drafted as the tight end 8. And then his ADP is about middle of the 10th round right now. So I think it's an incredible value. Last year, he dealt with injuries, only played 9 games, but the 2 seasons prior in Jacksonville finished as the tight end 2 and the tight end 5. So the guy was a stud, putting up big seasons. The one year he had over 100 catches. So that's what you're getting here. The ability for over 100 receptions in a season. The Broncos didn't have a go-to guy for Bo Nix, but they're making an effort here. And still, they really don't have, outside of Courtland, Sutton, like, there's no other wide receivers you can point to and be like, yeah, like they're the the second guy, third
They're
guy. So
startable even, like there's no one else you can look
like
at.
Marvin Mims is obviously a burner and it's going to have big plays, but that's no threat to Evan Ingram. So I think he slides in right away as the number 2 pass catcher, and he may even become the number 1 like option in the sense where he's going to get more targets because he'll be a safety blanket for Bo Nix. Where Sutton's getting the more downfield touches and the touchdowns, but. I think Evan Ingram may lead this team in targets when it's all said and done at the end of the season.
It's really good. Really good. Love Evan Ingram, so it's a good call out of you.
Yeah, we've seen him. Or sorry, all I want to say is we've seen him put up similar seasons to what we just like when he finished as the tight end 2. His stats were eerily similar to Bowers and McBride's season last year, where it was a ton of catches, a lot of yards. Just the touchdowns weren't there. So we know he has it in him. But let's see what you got.
Good call. I got George Kittle, tight end 3. He's the discount on McBride and Bowers. If you're not going to go in round 2 and get one of those guys or very early round 3, I'm fine taking Kittle in round 4 or 5. He's coming off 1,100 yards. Now there's no Deebo Samuel in the picture, who got a ton of plays. And he actually, because he did miss a couple games last year, he outscored Bowers in points per game. So not total points because he missed a couple, but points per game. And he had 59 less targets than Bowers did last year. So, and he still finished as tight end 3. So for me at tight end 3, I'll take the slight discount, and I'm going to bank on this Niners offense rebounding, and George Kittle's always been a catalyst of it.
Yeah, plus no Deebo, and we don't know. Ayuk may miss some time to start the year. Jennings now, is dealing with some injuries. So
yeah,
he may still be the number 1 option for a while.
Yeah, I think even if all those guys are healthy, Kittle's the number 1 receiving option in this team in 25. Do not draft. Stay away. Who?
I'm staying away from TJ Hawkinson this year.
Whoa! I got Hawk in 2 leagues. What the fuck?
Yeah, he's going a little too high for my liking. He's coming in at tight end 5. He's a guy that's never had more than 6 touchdowns in a season. Last year, he was held back due to his injury, but we didn't see really anything from him last year at all. and I just think he can get a little lost. He might get a little lost in this offense. And with a young quarterback, we don't know for sure. Like, I like JJ, but we can't fully bank on him being a great quarterback. I just don't like taking him as a tight end 5 with kind of all that at play.
I don't know. JJ loved throwing to Colston Loveland at Michigan.
He did. That is true.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you on Hockenson. I just don't see this being a high-powered offense compared to what it was last year. I think there might be some growing pains and stuff, although it does help with the Addison suspension, but still, I don't know. I'm staying away. I agree. I'm staying away from Hockenson. Similar to that, I'm staying away from Sam Laporta. A lot of it is the fact that there's just a ton of mouths to feed. He's coming in at the tight end number 4, getting drafted around 48 range. So late 4th, early 5th, but there's other guys I'd rather take there. I don't really want to take Sam Laporta after not dud, but you drafted him to be, a lot of people drafted him in the late 2nd, early 3rd last year. So he definitely didn't return on value. I'm staying away again just because I think this team wants to run the ball. They want to have, 200 plus touches between Montgomery and Gibbs, and there's still St. Brown there. Jamison Williams is going to continue to develop. So I'm fine with not having the number 3 to 4, 5 option in this offense. I mean, and touchdowns are just something that you can't bank on. They get, we see regression every year. Obviously he balled out his rookie year last year, not as many. So I don't know. If the touchdowns aren't there, I just don't think he's going to return on the value because he's not going to be a receptions yards guy.
That's sad. You got to shed on a wheel legend in Sam Laporta.
He is a wheel legend.
He is a wheel legend. We erupted when he scored the first touchdown that day.
I think he did it twice for us.
Yeah, I think he hit it twice, man. He is a wheel legend. So we like him for the wheel. Just Reagan doesn't like him for redraft this year. I'm going David Njoku. Reagan went through the whole Browns spiel. Look, the Browns quarterback room. Signed, sealed, delivered. I'm not touching any pass catchers in Cleveland this year. I am taking some of the backfield shares late because I think they'll run the shit out of the ball, and that's how they want to play in Stefanski's offense. I'm staying away. And dude, he's going as tight end 7. I'm sorry. There's so many more options around that area that I would prefer over David Njoku with that quarterback situation.
The only Njoku option I would suggest is he did ball out with Joe Flacco 2 years ago. So maybe draft him, wait till he balls out for 2 weeks, and then try to trade him and upgrade your tight end.
That is true. Down the stretch,
sell high. That's
down
what I
the
would
stretch in 23. You're right. However, how old is Flacco 2 years later now?
Well, not even that.
I don't
because it's the same thing with Jeudy. I think Jeudy will ball out early. So, if I am taking Browns guys, I'm drafting them to hopefully sell them after they ball out with Flacco for a couple weeks. But I think, once it becomes a Dylan Gabriel, Shador Sanders, or Kenny Pickett show, they're all going to be like shells. So that's why I'm staying away.
Yeah,
but that would be what I would say is if you do draft them to sell high on the Flacco bump.
I think that's a really good call out of you because none of us think the Browns could be a good team this year. At some point, you got to give a young guy a shot, right? So
yeah,
then all the pass catchers go to the shitter. Good call. Value pick, G.
Yeah, there's everyone kind of in this range is kind of lumped together. So the one I like the most at tight end 15 is Jake Ferguson. I think he's the reason he kind of fell off last year is because Dak Prescott got hurt. But when they were playing together, he was pretty solid. He was averaging almost 50 yards a game. I just think with tight end, it's tough. And a guy that's been productive with his quarterback, it was something I was looking for. And I just don't think that what he put up last year is really who he is. I think he'll have a bounce back year. So not much to say there with him.
You guys are going to hate my pick. And also, I do like the Ferguson pick. I think that is a value. I'm going with Kyle Pitts because he's at the point where he is a value. No, because he is.
Go Gators. Go Gators.
He's going as the tight end 17. So, he's not drafted to be your starter. So I think at that point, it's worth taking the risk on the fact that this guy's an athletic freak. If Michael Penix, who, small sample size, is there and able to unlock him consistently, then hell, you might actually finally get a top 5 tight end or at least a consistent starter that you have hoped because, the new gunslinger lefty Michael Penix unlocks him. So I just think it's worth the risk. Worst case, if it, nothing shows in the first 2 weeks, drop his ass. I mean, you're drafting him to be your backup tight end at 17. You're not drafting him to be your starter. So I think it's worth the risk.
Word out of camp is that Penix is finding him a lot.
Exactly.
Looks good with Penix. I am once again ready to get hurt.
Yeah, but it's not even really getting hurt. He's going as like I said, the tight end 17. So
he's my tight end too. I'm happy.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it doesn't matter. I would only draft him if you don't have one of the top tier guys. Like if you don't have Kittle, Kelsey, Bowers, McBride, even I'm still taking Laporta and I'm still taking Hawkinson over them. If you don't have any of them, then sure, throw them on the bench. But if you have one of those guys, it's not even worth stashing them.
Yeah. My guy is Tucker Kraft. Last year was his first year as the starting tight end in Green Bay. Took the job from Luke Musgrave, who got more of the run their rookie years. They got drafted together. Did you know that he was tight end 10 last year, and the Packers threw the ball the third least in football? It became the Josh Jacobs show. So in his first year as a starter, he was tight end 10, and the Packers barely threw the football. So with Jordan Love taking another step, and of course the play action off that run game, Tucker Kraft's only going to get better. At tight end 10, where he slated this year is where he finished last year. I think it's a really safe pick. He's a young ascending player. It wouldn't shock me if he's a top 7-6 tight end in that range.
I like it. I mean, I don't know if he'll ever, obviously he probably doesn't have the upside to be that, but to be like a top 5 guy. But if he's in that 6-7 range, like I'm fine with it. It's just tough because
you get him late.
Yeah, you would think it's going to be the Josh Jacobs show, but then again, there's no like proven like number 1 target where he actually could end up being Jordan Love's number 1 target.
Yeah, I like it. Sleeper to close us out for tonight's podcast.
Isaiah Likely from the Ravens.
Yeah.
Same from last year, but tight end 20, 500 yards last year, 6 touchdowns. I just think every year he's slowly going to get more workload. And last year we saw it. We saw it in the playoffs. We saw Andrew start to fall off just a little bit. I think they're slowly going to start using this guy in a lot. Harbaugh has said in the presser that he's got the talent to be an all-pro tight end. So I just think if they get him involved more this year, he has the ceiling to be a great tight end. And 6'4", super fast. Lamar obviously loves throwing the ball. I think he's worth a shot this year.
I love that call because one, when Andrew's been out, we've seen Likely have monster games. Dude won me a fantasy championship in 2023. Like he was a monster part of it. So I love Isaiah Likely. Andrew's getting older and older, has injury concerns, very touchdown dependent. And also, I'm seeing some rumors that he's about to get extended by the Ravens too, which shows their belief in him.
Well, not even that. I just think there's going to be a lot of packages where they're both on the field.
And Lamar loves his tight ends.
Sure.
Loves
you know what I mean? Like, I think they can coexist. Like, I think both guys are playable in fantasy.
Yeah, because you look at that wide receiver room, and it's like Zay and Bateman. I'm not really concerned about D-Hop, but like they want to run 2 tight end sets with Derrick Henry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think there's a world where they both end up as top 12 tight ends at the end of the year.
I like it. Reagan, who's your sleeper?
I'm going with Mason Taylor for the Jets. The reason I'm taking
Homer.
I am a homer. No, he's going virtually undrafted.
I like it.
So I think it's worth a shot. I mean, they took him in the 2nd round. Tyler Conklin's gone, so it's his job to have. Justin Fields, just looking at his history, he's ultra targeted the tight end. Like Cole Kmet was his guy when Chicago, and last year with Freiermuth, he was targeting him a lot. It's probably why he didn't keep the job, because he was targeting Freiermuth too much and not getting George Pickens, their star wide receiver, the ball. So I just think the aspect of the capital being there, the fact that the snap percentage will be there, and Justin Fields just ultra targeting his tight ends, this guy can become a nice check down for him. So I don't know if we'll end up getting to the top 12 thing, but I think it's worth the risk, or maybe not the risk, because odds are he's probably not on your roster, but a guy to keep an eye on. If you're in dynasty leagues, like you should be on your taxi spot. But in these redraft leagues, ESPN gives you the feature that you can like put a guy on your watch list. So definitely a guy I would just keep on my watch list. And, if you're looking for tight ends, just knowing, hey, this guy's going to be out there for 80, 90% of the snaps. Like, let's give a dart throw, see if you can get in the end zone and see how much they use him.
Nice. I'm going Dalton Kincaid at tight end 14. What if we were just a year early on the breakout call? Last year, he was going to that 5 to 6 tight end range and complete dud. He was tight end 30 in 13 games. But as a rookie, he was tight end 11 in full point PPR. And it's not like the Bills added a shit ton of weapons this offseason. It's a very similar cast of characters. Josh Palmer, I'm not super concerned about. So, yeah, I know Khalil Shakir was really good for them last year, but I still think the highest ceiling of all these pass catchers is Dalton Kincaid. And when you're paired with the MVP, Josh Allen, the sky's the limit. So give me Dalton Kincaid at tight end 14. If I'm waiting on tight end and I'm taking 2 in that range, I'm going like a Kincaid Tyler Warren, a Kincaid Loveland, a Kincaid Pitts. a Kincaid Kraft. I think that's a good tandem to have if you're not going to get one of the upper echelon elite ones.
Yeah, I actually do like that a lot because there's a chance he is Josh Allen's number one target. I mean, they obviously Shakir was last year and they paid him, but they didn't really bring in anyone else. I'm not worried about Dawson Knox. So I definitely think it's worth the shout. He's a sleeper. He's also a value where, like you said, I think this guy literally does have top 3 upside. I mean, the talent's there. There's a reason they took him in the first round.
Yeah.
Or it's another case of Kyle Pitts where you're just chasing the potential his whole career, and you're sitting there like, when the hell is this guy finally going to break out? Like, all the talent's there, all the tools are there, the college production's there. You know, it just never comes. But I'm here for taking the risk on him.
Love it. Fantasy football fans, that wraps up tonight's episode. Drop a comment. Whose calls do you like the best? Where are we off? Who are your guys that you're taking in every league? We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I want to know some of these sleepers that I'm missing out on.
Yeah, come on. Good luck in your drafts. Let's win some rings.
Yes, sir. Ring season. Ring season's coming early, fellas.